So
Hmm.
if you see a real life example of it,
Okay.
you have might be using Spotify, or you might at least know about it, right?
Yeah. I know about
Uh,
it.
So while developing this kind of a software or an application, right?
Huh.
How they actually work. So you can, it's not a case study at all, but some high level understanding of how they develop this particular application.
Hmm.
Okay, so they divided their tech team into very small teams of 9 to 10 member each. In
Uh,
these 9 to 10 member, they have developer, they have tester, they have business analyst.
Hmm.
And similar to this, they have n number of teams.
Okay.
Okay, which they used to call as squads. This is the naming convention which they had.
Squid. Okay.
Now, so see, naming anyone can. So sometimes Jupiter, Mars, Venus. So people
Yeah.
use naming convention as per their mindset. It's not
Acha.
something we need to learn, but yeah, they put it like this. And then now what will happen? Now this is small cross-functional team. Okay, cross-functional team
Okay.
means in different teams the technology is different, so they function across different technologies as a team, as a whole
Hmm.
bunch.
Hmm.
So that is why it is called. Now they will have another group called tribes, which is
Okay.
basically a group of squads only.
Hmm.
Okay.
Working related.
Now,
Yes. Huh.
yeah. So basically, whatever task they are supposed to do.
Hmm.
So in there is something called Confluence. Okay. This is
Oh.
another product by Atlassian company only.
Hmm.
Atlassian also developed something called JIRA, which we discussed in this call.
Right.
Okay, there is another thing called Confluence. So in Confluence, we create pages.
Hmm.
In layman language, you can consider it like a blog. Okay,
Okay.
where the information related to a particular task is written in very detail. Okay, so
Okay.
we create chapters as well in it, where whole knowledge, how we gonna develop this, or if anything is developed, so how we develop this, what we did, everything would be written in that particular chapter. So maybe
Hmm.
later on Spotify want to change it, make some changes, right? They can
Yeah.
go, they can read how they did it, and they can make changes as well.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, and that's how this another group where basically they generally try to keep communities with similar interest so that they can get some good suggestions from them.
Hmm.
Hence they develop this fourth, which is called guilds.
Guilds.
Okay, yeah.
Huh.
So this is how they. So in a nutshell, to summarize what we discussed,
Huh.
a project comes up. There is a team. Team will be divided into n number of parts.
Okay.
Every team A, B, C, D gonna interact with each other, right? They will
Hmm.
work on
Hmm.
small modules. They will integrate the modules, and they will deliver the product. And for that, they can use maybe Agile, maybe Waterfall.
Hmm.
Inside Agile, they can use maybe Scrum, Kanban, whatever. And then to document these things, gonna use Jira, Confluence pages, and all.
Okay.
Don't get lost. Whatever I'm telling you right now, we will discuss these in detail as well. Like
Sure.
I'll gonna show you how Jira looks.
Huh.
Okay,
Huh.
how we put ticket, how we do backlogging, how we do write issues in it, how we
Hmm.
put comments
Hmm.
in it, everything. And same for the Confluence page as well.
What's that? Conference.
Confluence.
Confluence. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That is also a tool.
Yeah, it's also a tool, but it's very simple, basic tool. You can say it's a online version of Word
Hmm.
document.
Okay. Okay. Got
Okay,
it.
so it's very basic. No need
Huh.
to worry on that part.
Huh. Huh.
So let's say we are taking this example. Okay,
Hmm.
wait. Okay, so let's say let's
Okay.
consider the same project as an example. This XYZ bank has
Okay.
data on premises
Hmm.
available in their storage. They want to migrate it to the cloud storage,
Hmm.
and from cloud storage, they want to create a reporting system where they'll be having Power BI reports or Tableau reports.
Right.
Okay, so let's write PBI or maybe. Tab blue.
W.
Okay, so any whatever the, or maybe there are n number of other tools as well. Now,
Okay.
what steps they gonna follow? So let's say the project is starting from very scratch.
Hmm.
Okay, and they finalize that okay, we gonna use agile methodology.
Okay.
Okay,
Hmm.
now first thing in agile, what they gonna do is they gonna set the goals.
Okay.
Okay, they will set goals that okay, what are the requirements to complete this? What is the
Hmm.
goal? So the goal is to get the reporting out of it.
Correct.
Now, while setting the goal, second thing, to start the internal hiring. Okay, why?
Okay.
Because they will need a resource for it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, that is step number two they're gonna do in the whole process. Once they're
Okay.
starting finalizing, let's say hiring the resources, third thing they're gonna do is okay, they will set the environment.
Hmm.
Now, when I say environment, what it means is, um, so there are a lot of environments they're gonna create. For example, one is
Hmm.
called production environment.
Okay.
Okay,
Production.
another, yeah. So let's start from the scratch. First environment would be development environment. Once the
Okay.
development is done, then they will
Hmm.
go for SIT testing. So SIT environment is there. Then they will go with PET testing. So PET environment is there, and finally they will do
Hmm.
the production. So prod environment is there, and then they're gonna deploy. So when I say environment,
Okay.
these are the spaces where a particular task is being achieved. So they're gonna create this.
Okay. SIT is what I forgot. Software iterative testing.
System integration
System.
testing. System.
Acha, acha, system integration
हाँ,
testing. Okay.
yes. So that is
Okay.
covered. Now they're gonna plan the migration process.
Okay.
Okay. In migration, like which data will go first, how it gonna go. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That whole process they gonna define in this migration steps basically.
Hmm.
Okay. Once the migration is being designed by them, decided that okay, that's how we're gonna do the migration. Okay. So
Okay.
they're gonna finalize what stages it will go. So there is something called
Hmm.
first stage where they we discussed in the last call. They have let's say raw data.
Hmm.
Okay, from raw data they will take it to curation stage. Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
in
Hmm.
curation stage they will have a transform data. Okay,
Okay. The data which can be transferable.
transformed means so let's say in the raw stage they have the data but a lot of commas dots or
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
there are a lot of errors in it. They're gonna remove everything and they're gonna take it to the curation stage where they have curated data.
Understood. Okay.
They did some changes in raw data and they have curation now.
Acha. Okay. Hmm.
Okay, and depending on the project they can have many more other stages as well.
Okay.
Okay, now they have defined the stages as well how this gonna go. Now they're gonna just wait for the end result. Okay, but
Hmm.
before that they're gonna create the pipeline, do the development work. Okay, they're gonna create the framework also,
Got it.
and at the end they're gonna get the end result.
Got it. Okay.
Now that's how the process will look like. Goals,
Okay.
they hired the resources, they
Hmm.
created the environment, they
Hmm.
planned the migration, they again
Okay.
did the development work here. Here, actually, coding and everything is going over here.
Acha. Acha. Okay.
Ah. And then they create the pipe, like coding is done on pipeline also. So, this is similar kind of a process. And then they wait for the target state, or this is the end of the process.
Hmm. 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 Okay.
Okay,
Got it.
in this plan, there is one more point.
Hmm.
We also gonna discuss ideas
Hmm.
that whether we gonna use Amazon Web Services, we gonna use Azure Services, which is powered by
Yes.
Microsoft, or we gonna use GCP services, which is powered by Google.
Google. Huh.
So this is one part of the planning. Okay, what services we gonna use, and there would be a separate team who will be working on it, who gonna
Hmm.
see okay what is efficient for us, which will be cheaper, or it's not only about being efficient, also about if it is cheap, whether it can perform or it has that feature which we want, right?
Correct.
Then they also gonna discuss, okay, we are using, let's suppose they finalize that they are using
Hmm.
mm, Azure over here, okay?
Hmm.
Now in Azure, which tool they gonna use for upcoming process, okay? So there is something called ADB.
ADB.
Yeah, Azure Data Block. There is
Ashish.
something called ADF, Azure Data Factory, right? There is
Okay.
something called Synapse.
Hmm.
Okay. There is something called DLS, Data Lake Storage, right? So
Okay.
there are a lot of things even in Azure which during the planning phase they're gonna discuss.
During the planning phase. Okay.
हाँ, so this is not the, I'm just telling you, this is a
Yeah.
process
Yeah.
under
Yeah.
planning only, कि
Huh.
भाई हमें कौन सा यूज करना है, किसकी प्राइसिंग अच्छी है या फिर किसके फीचर्स अच्छे हैं. इवन दे प्लान के जो इनके भी दे हैव देयर सर्वर्स, ये जो Azure AWS GCP है, इनके सर्वर्स कहीं पे हैं. तो लेट्स सपोज अगर उस सर्वर में कोई इशू आ गया, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर
Hmm.
इशू, लाइट चली गई, लेट्स से इट इज इन द फायर, तो क्या पूरा डेटा चला जाएगा? तो इस इन ये क्या ये कुछ बैकअप भी प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं कि नहीं? सो लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स दे गोना डिस्कस inside it,
Okay.
okay? And
Hmm.
that's when they finalize one thing, and once they finalize one thing, then they again gonna discuss, अच्छा इसके अंदर क्या क्या tools हैं, because they need to make sure that जो resources they have, are
Hmm.
they comfortable in working into these? If not, then during this discussion only,
Hmm.
one thing will add up, which is called let me add here, which will be called training,
Acha.
training the resources,
Hmm.
that you should study all this thing and then you should come up,
Okay. Got it.
okay, and then you can work on these things. And after this also there are a lot of things.